Welcome to Soulversations with Mka Morris. My guest today is, wow. First of all, let's welcome our first ever male guest to present his face to our listeners, Nisheen Stephens.
Thank you.
Nisheen, you're the first guy. You got to set the standard and the tone. How does that feel? Is that pressure?
Listen, we know the women rule, but men rock. So
I love that.
I'm here to rock with you guys. Thank you so much for this invite. This means a lot to us. Yeah.
So Nisheen and I go way, way, way back. We are old high school buddies, friends. We went to high school together, graduated, and then I went my way, he went his way, and then Facebook happened. And I think that's how we all now have reconnected in life. And it's just such a beautiful thing to like see old classmates, grown up now, right?
Yeah, it's a blessing. How many years has that been? You don't want to do that, do you?
It's like 30 something.
30 something years.
I think our 30th school year happened during the pandemic.
It did.
So maybe it's like 31, 32. It's in the 30s. We're 30 years into this.
There you go.
Into adulthood, right?
That's right. That's right.
So because I know high school Nisheen. I don't know adult Nisheen. I know him.
Talk about high school. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Nisheen from high school.
You wanted to do it.
Let me just say this, y'all. Because I'm going to let him intro himself in a few minutes. But let me just say this. Who he is in this life right now, from what I see, I'm not surprised, okay? But I will say that he was the goofiest little somebody. I mean, funny. He was a sharp dresser. Funny.
Thank you.
He was in the mix with everybody, all groups. Kind of like me. I was kind of all over the place too.
You were.
I was in and out though. Yeah. If it was any extracurricular activities, I was not to be found. But I think we had a good time. Like I got there in 10th grade and then I went from 10th through 12th. You was probably there in the 9th grade?
Yeah, I started in the 9th over at what's that, the annex, right?
Yeah, see, I know nothing about the annex. I had to meet you guys and you guys were already in your little crews and
in the middle, yeah.
So I had to be friends with everybody at that point.
Which it was interesting how that went. I know we're gonna get to the interview, but it was interesting how that whole dynamic was compared to things today. We were a lot more, I mean, we weren't liberal, but more, receiving of one another and accepting, which was really good. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about the school that we went to, Oxon Hill High, which going there, I don't think I saw the value in what it was because I came from Virginia school. So I thought like, y'all got a pool. My school had a pool. And there was a great mix though. It was a great mix of everybody.
It was.
And I think we all respected each other,
Yep.
Even if we didn't gather together or communicate together, we just was very respectful of each other's differences, right?
Yeah. The teachers had a huge part to play in that, as well as guidance counselors. And I will say, probably don't know this, but Ulysses Carey, he was a senator, Maryland's a senator. That man followed me all the way. He was my elementary school principal, all the way to high school. Yeah, and then after he retired from being a principal at the high school, he became a senator. U.S. Maryland. No, I'm sorry, U.S. Maryland delegate. Yeah, look it up. Ulysses Carey. He was a man. He's talking about fatherhood figure. He was that. He was everything. He was like what's the movie?
Lean on Me.
Lean on. He was a joke. He was a crazy Joe. But yeah, he was a huge influence. And I truly believe in a lot of the young brothers' lives, such as myself. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So welcome. You're a husband. You married your high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
You're a father. You're a grandfather. You're an author. But most importantly, you're a Black man in America. Hello, let's celebrate that. Okay. And the fact that you just cross your milestone 50th, please tell
Yeah.
our audience a brief intro of who you actually are now, Mr. Nisheen Stephens.
Firstly, again, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this. Tamika, I'm so proud of you. I am so elated. You know, we look back and we think to ourselves, you know, what's become of such and such, and what's become, and some of it we already knew, like
Right.
like people had that tenacious will just to be great, and you were one of them. You were one of them. Yeah. Yeah. Soulversations is, I'm seeing this thing going so far. I
I
mean,
received
you
that.
know, yeah, international. But yeah, a little bit about myself. I'm a devoted Christian. Christ. I love Christ. You know, it wasn't always that way, but this journey, you know, my life's journey led me to Christ, which I'm so grateful and thankful. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a grandfather. I'm also an entrepreneur and an author. Book is going on about a year now, and I've already had a book too. So yeah, I'm you know, in the mix betwixt and between. They said don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing. So y'all can expect that number 2 to come out pretty soon.
All right.
Yep.
So I just want to thank you for saying yes, because like I reached out to Nisheen, and look, I just tell all my business, okay? I'm very transparent. I had a guest and she rescheduled. So I was like, God, who can I pick this week? Because I couldn't do it last week because I was in DC. My daughter performed at the Kennedy Center. So and I didn't want to miss a whole nother week. So I was like, but I want a guy. I want to talk about mental health because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And you just came across my mind and my heart and my spirit. And I was like, Facebook. And then I waited, and I went back, I took a nap, laid down. By the time I woke back up, you had responded, and you responded like, okay, or a heart or something. And you didn't really say anything. I was like, okay, he's thinking about it. He's probably going to talk it over with Maxine. And like I was coming up with all these things, but I never once doubted that you wouldn't do it. I just
That's
knew that
right.
God placed you in my spirit that this was going to happen. And so I appreciate your yes. I thank you for whatever you had to move around to make sure that it happened today and not next week, next month sometime. And so after we had this conversation, I want my listeners to know to come back next week because I'm going to interview him and his wife. So I'm excited about that as well. But I appreciate your yes. So thank you for taking the time to spend with me this evening on Soulversations with Mka Morris.
Oh, it's an honor.
Get into it.
Definitely an honor. Thank you.
How has fatherhood inspired your life?
Wow. You just dropped that one on me. I'll say that fatherhood definitely it inspired me. It's beyond inspiration. Becoming a father, and I think back, it really stretched fortitude of love within me. It gave me another tenacious will to live because I wasn't living just for me. I never was a selfish guy, always generous, and being that generous to share life with my wife, that was like, that was phenomenal. I never forget that song. What was it? Jodeci. So you having my you remember
that
that?
was around that time.
But yeah.
Were you singing that to her? I bet you she was like,
No,
be quiet.
I don't think she would have got pregnant if no. But no, but yeah, it was like, thinking back, my daughter, Isis, Isis Nashe, I love her. I have a nickname for her. She's my honeybee.
So cute. That
Yeah,
first is
so
special,
cute.
isn't it?
But bees sting, right?
Is that why you call her the honeybee?
She's sweet as pie, but don't get her twisted. But I love that girl. I mean, it really did. It just changed my whole perspective of of living,
Mm-hmm.
to duplicate you. You know what I mean? To take a piece of you and share another piece of your significant other, spouse, or that's a huge thing. And that girl, she had given me a drive just to live. I never forget, I was going to Nova, Northern Virginia Community College. I was an econ major, micro. And also I was a theater. I minored in theater, which is
Not
good. Yeah.
surprised. Not surprising.
And like second year, Maxine, she got all frisky with me, and her friskiness led to ISIS being born. And I left. I was working for the EPA as a stay-in-school part-time. It's making
That good government job.
yeah. But I had to work full-time in order to provide. So I ended up getting my certification as a medical lab technician. I started working at Quest Diagnostics. I ran a few PSCs, that's patient service centers. And it was life was great for a minute. And then, things take a curve. But again, that will and zeal, even when things was taking a curve in my life, and trying to be that strong Black man, I never forget dragging my daughter Isis back and forth to Georgetown. Hoya Kids is what it was called. And I was working for the Lombardi Cancer Center there. And man, I just think about those days back and forth on the subway and the train. And I look at single mothers, man. Oh my God, my heart goes out to them, just doing that much. It was a lot.
And you were young.
And
you were young, and
yes.
you were present and trying to, wow.
Yeah.
That is,
Yeah.
and I hope that the young men that is listening can understand the value of how, because, we all have young men in our life, and we could say, look, you don't even understand how good you got it. Like we've we've made these kids' life so cushy that so to say that, I don't know if people understand when you say you got to get on a train with your young daughter and go to Georgetown. You're on a bus, you're on a train, you're on another train.
Every day. Yep.
That's a lot. That's 2 to 3 hours out of your day one way. And then you got to do that coming back.
Yeah.
And then all the other stuff that comes on you in between that. So that's applaudable.
And given you knew where we come from, right? So we were like that Eastover. Yeah.
Yes.
Come on,
All those buses was not running regular.
Yeah,
they were good on the DC side, but once you get to that Maryland side, it was like it was like walk or wait, and most of the times you would walk.
Yep.
Because that wait was gonna be long.
And you had to fight all the vans and the villains too, yeah, but God is good. It's changed my life quite a bit, and I'm glad. God has a strategic way of giving us life, right? By giving us life, and He trusted my daughter, my oldest, with me, and from then on, it was, that gave me a drive just to live. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, school and all of that stuff, I was party fiend, But yeah, she brought stability. Yeah, she brought some stability, some real fatherhood out of me. And here's the other thing, is that it's one thing being a daddy, right? I mean, being a father, but it's another thing being a daddy. Being a daddy is it's a crown beyond fatherhood. And that was the other thing. Being present allowed me to do that. Become a daddy, not just a father.
Right.
And not slighting any fathers out there. We do the best that we can within our capacity to provide and so forth. But yeah, I went beyond that. It's like wiping tears as well as bottoms, to discipline, to I mean, developing, to share, the sacrifice. And that was a hugest thing in regards to fatherhood. Listen, being a daddy was sacrificing. I mean, there's a lot of sacrifice that came into that, which fortified my faith too. Could you imagine our Heavenly Father do the same for us every day?
Every day.
Every day.
And we
That
don't even
blood,
acknowledge it.
Yep. That blood was shed as a sacrifice. He was a sacrifice, and he still sacrificed to this day for us to live. Yeah. Yep.
So your theme is that what I'm hearing is that love helped you, the love of her, the love that you, the love of God, the love of,
That's it.
love is what inspires you.
Yeah.
How has grandfatherhood changed you?
Oh man. So my handle is don't laugh. My handle is originally was G Peasy. Yeah, I went
So
by
hip hop of
GP.
you. So hip hop of you.
Yes, I was a grandfather about to turn 50. You know, I'm trying to hold on to my little youth. I want to give a hip hop name, you know. But yeah, they totally they bashed that and started calling me G Pop, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got the infamous G Pop.
That's right. Totally just, but you know, hearing that name just it melts me. One thing I can say in regards to being a grandfather, that the mantle became grandeur, if you will, and breaking generational curses.
Yes.
You know, that mandate of grand isn't just because of the kids, but it's also because of the response. That's right, the legacy and the responsibility that's given, you know, and they can't, just like with any other, you know, grandfather. I know we move into forefatherhood and an extremely higher class nowadays because, you know, we have so many obstacles to fight against compared. I mean, life was a lot simpler without technology, without all of these, you know,
oh my God,
these
the
things
distractions.
distractions. Kids are privy to so much information, knowledge, but not knowing how to apply it. You know, it's so many different things in regards to, I can say all of that, but again, it's not just a grandfather, but a grandeur responsibility, being a forefather and holding down the legacy. You know?
Can you believe we're grandparents? Like,
oh my God.
That's just weird to me. I'm like, my grandkids call me honey.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's so cool.
I said I don't want to confuse the people out in the street, talk about some grandma or something foolish like that. So they call me honey, but honey, when they say honey, oh my God.
Yeah.
They can get whatever they like. What is it? Yes. Yes is the answer.
Here.
Okay. Yes. Honey.
Same
yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And that's what I'd say, like with G-pop. And when they say G-pop, they already know it's on go. That G, first of all, is go. Then they'll say the pop, G-pop.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. But I just sometimes I look at my life now and I'm like, wow, we're like really here. We're almost the elders. Like, no disrespect to the elders in my family that still exist, but I feel like we're it now, you know. And I tell my girlfriends all the time, I'm like, you know, like we think we're popping and young for real. Like we're not it. We're actually it though. Because our kids are calling us for the same things we was calling our parents for, you know, the recipes, the advice, the, you know, money, the money.
Money. Say that again one more time.
The money. And you know, it never ends. Parenting never ends. So
yeah. Which is a beautiful thing. Can you believe that God entrusts us with lives, you know, and for us to continue to live, to entrust us with those, you know, those lives?
Let me help you even deeper. What I just discovered, that the moment that I had my daughter, she was already birthed with the eggs for my granddaughter.
Wow, that's amazing. I never thought of it like that.
Me either.
That is amazing.
So we're already carrying legacy and generations of us. Yet to be born.
Wow.
Yet to be born.
That is, man.
That is amazing. You know, we talked earlier today, and when we say we have to be the change we wish to see, we
Exactly.
do, because
Yeah.
it's really on us to change the trajectory of
Yep.
our legacy.
That's it.
Um,
And we
so
determine that with our narrative of our living. A lot of
mhm,
times we think it's just, in a verbal sense.
mm-mm.
We go back
Words
to
words don't teach.
teach at all,
Mm-mm,
do as I say and
mm-mm,
not as I do, that type of
mm-mm,
thing. It's a new day today. Everything is what we're doing right now, visual,
mhm,
and then not only that, kids are so intuitive. They know they can
mhm,
peep, and don't let you have a spiritual essence about you. That's
mm,
part of your legacy as well, because they
mhm,
can definitely see,
mhm.
things, which is those gifts, so important, and not missing that part too, to be sure to enhance those gifts that's
Yes.
in them. So yeah, that's a major piece.
So take us on your journey as a Black man in, as I say, America. What
Oh
is it
my.
like now? What is it like? I
Oh
mean,
my.
it seems simpler, right?
Well,
It seemed. Now it's like it's just
well,
so deep.
and the thing is that because I'm a child of the 70s, right?
Mhm,
Raised in the 80s,
mhm,
but a product of the 90s.
mhm.
Put those
I love
eras
that.
together.
I
Put
love
those
that
eras together, and there's a lot that went on in between, you know.
so much.
Yeah, yeah. We're talking about the crack epidemic. Well, let's go a little with the 70s. There
Mhm,
was still segregation going on.
mhm,
You
mhm,
know, still fighting for civil rights at that
mhm.
point in the 70s. Can you believe that?
We could feel it too, even though we weren't.
Directly
Yes,
hit with it.
but we
Yeah.
could feel it. We could
Hmm.
feel it, right?
Yeah, there was a huge debris of racism. So I went to I started off, my parents sent me to what is it called, like pre-K? Yeah,
Mhm,
pre-K. Yeah, I was going to Catholic school, and it
mhm,
was a mixed race, and on Capitol Hill, as a matter of fact.
mm.
And I was only, and listen, I'm sharing this with you guys. I'm not a racist, anything like that. But I'm just coming from the experience of when I identified that I was Black. I was going to a predominantly a white school, and there were nuns and priests there.
They told you.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm,
yeah. So this I never forget, this little girl name was Leslie. Leslie ran up to me in the classroom and just locked her lips on mine. Sister
mm.
Armella, who was the nun at the time, happened to catch the
The
lip
kiss,
lock.
the
Yes,
forbidden kiss. Mhm.
right, right. She snatched me by my collar, my little polo shirt, like the buttons was about to pop. And she goes, "If you ever do that again, I'll smack your face bloody."
Mm.
I'm a child. So I defended myself. I'm like, hey, she can't,
She
she
did it
ran,
to me.
yeah, she just
Mhm.
ran up to me and kissed me. I mean, what, I
What
didn't
did
do
I
that.
do? Right.
Right. And she looked at me again, and her
You heard
hands,
what I said.
exactly, her hands
Mhm.
were like, they were like
They were
baseball
huge.
mitts.
She had
Yeah.
Amazon
I
hands.
was like, oh my God. When I saw the hand,
Say more, say no more.
that's it. I wasn't trying to be the baseball. So um that, like, totally, well, after that, I told my father,
What your father say?
oh, it's not what he said.
What he did.
He came up to the school,
Mhm.
and that was my last day. You know,
Good.
that was my last day. Um, but that
Wow.
was trauma, because you know what? I
It
entrust
was.
as a child entrusted a
The
nurture.
nuns.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What was none is really mean nurture, right? So
Mm.
that's the name. That's where it comes from. And And not only that, I had trust issue because that little girl lied. She
The little
lied.
girl lied
She
and
lied.
said he did it.
He did it.
Oh,
That was the other part of that, you know.
wow. Sounds like another story we know about that's very famous. With the
Emmett
lady just
Till
passed away. Uh-huh.
recently passed
They've been
away.
doing this for forever.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, what is it? She lived to be 85 years old,
Mm-hmm.
you
Scot
know.
free with her
Yeah.
lies, with her
Yeah.
lies.
Yeah. My wife and I, we listened to that in the car, and you know, the young lady began to talk about, you know, the dispensation of forgiveness, you know,
Mm-hmm.
in so many ways, you know, but at the same time, you think about, you know, was he forgiven?
Mm. No.
Think about that. Was he forgiven?
Mm-mm.
You know, um, yeah, was I forgiven at that
Mm-mm.
instance? And what I'm saying,
Maybe.
mhm,
No, go ahead.
what I was saying was I had to forgive myself for allowing that trauma and that hurt to fester this long.
Right. To the point of
Mhm.
remembering names.
Yep. Yep.
You could
You hear
probably see the day in
you
your head and
sharp.
your memory.
You
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
big mitt, that hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's some trauma.
It is something how certain things in your life you can never forget, and other
Yeah.
things you can put back in the, in a suitcase somewhere, and
Yeah.
then it
Yeah.
comes out and it's like the damage or the hurt or the trauma, like you said.
Yeah.
Um,
So
wow.
living in America, I mean, that was the beginning, and of course there are other, you know, obstacles within that era. So we went from the 70s and 80s, and you know, I struggled a little bit with substance abuse, you know, in so many
Mhm.
ways, trying to compartmentalize a lot of the things that and the traumas that I went through, not
Mhm.
realizing I didn't know at that time, you know, as a teenager to do some soul searching versus getting high
No,
because
no.
everyone else was getting high.
The soul searching was in the high. What are you talking about? This.
This is true. This is true.
I mean, and let's be clear. It's either you was going to do the drug or you had a
Mhm.
reason not to do the drug,
Right,
which was my reason not to. My
right,
dad was
right.
a perfect example as to why not to.
Not to, right,
Um, or you use the drug as a release. And it's interesting that you say it like that, that how did you know that maybe I was just experimenting because I had trauma going on? You
right.
don't know that that's what it is. All you know is it's fun, it's a
Mhm.
good time, it's taking me out of this reality that feels
What's
fucked
going on?
up,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, and when I hear young people say that, and I've said it since we were kids, when I would hear my friends who was getting high and I was sitting around, like they passed the blunt, I would just
yeah,
keep
good,
passing
good.
it.
Yeah,
Um, and I would be like, okay, but after, because you're clear that this is why you're doing it. You're clear that you have so much on you and you're trying to release that,
that,
you don't want to feel that thing. And I'm like, but what
right.
happens when it comes
I'm
down? Like,
down. That's it. That's it.
that's the
That's
part.
where
So,
that's the gate of addiction, and you want to keep
mhm,
high, not to deal with all of those things that's there, that you tried to compartmentalize.
right.
I mean, we're talking drugs, but it also come out in behavior, you know?
Ooh, food,
It's just more
shopping,
destructive. Yeah.
a lot of things.
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, and all of us have something, we all
Right.
have something. I mean, my stronghold may not be your stronghold, but it's enough to keep me in
Say it.
bondage,
Say it.
right?
Say it.
And so when we tell these stories and we
Hmm.
share and we help each other to understand that you're not
Right.
alone,
Right.
and
Yeah.
if I can conquer this area in my life, then so can probably you if we just challenge each other differently.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. My wife and I devotion this morning on our my truck is being repaired, so I'm carpooling with her, and I'm in the car preaching in the morning. She probably tired of me. She want to put me out on 210, but I don't care. Um, no, but our devotion was the First Corinthians, uh, uh, second Second Corinthians, first chapter. And it talked about, you know, you never know when you can help, you know, your life is preordained to help someone else along this journey, you know, and that you were never alone during that journey. And that's the big part that we fail to miss, is that I know God was with me even through my addiction. I mean, I'm going to spill a little tea. I was in oil joints and on the corner. I mean, I'm still talking about the word of God.
Yeah.
And people coming to me. I'll never forget this one lady. I was leaving out the apartment. This lady came out of her apartment. I'm talking about this. It was a bando. You know what a bando is, right? Yeah, that's a band in the apartment. But no, this lady, I'm spilling tea. But this lady out of nowhere came with oil, anointing everyone that came out of that building and everyone that tried to come in.
I love it.
In the name of Jesus. And I was like, you know, and my mother, she's always been like faith, you know, faith filled. I mean, holiness church. I mean, you know, tongue talking. And so we were raised up in that. And for me to try and stray away and go that other path and direction, God was still there,
right there,
in the midst of it all, you know. And and that was one of the toughest rock bottoms of my life. You know, a lot from where this book came from. Also facing 20 years of life in prison.
I had no idea.
Yeah, facing 20 years of life in prison. I spent 2 years waiting for a sentence as well as a trial, to have a trial. And I tried to tell that to the judge, you know, there were certain things in my life that, you know, while I was acting out the way I was, you know, and almost taking someone else's life. And she didn't want to hear that.
You come a dime a dozen. Your story comes a dime a dozen.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, and that was 80s when mass incarceration was, no, 90s, I'm sorry, when true mass incarceration was really going on. You know, because all of those things that just reached ahead with the crack epidemic and so forth in the 80s, and, you know, to pushed up out into the 90s, you know.
Right.
But, and yeah, that was during the time that was so heavy. I never forget, but overall, I can say the grace of God has definitely covered me from a lot of this. And I want to say this, I'm hoping some of these young brothers are listening. I truly believe it was being accountable for what I did is what brought me to God's liberty. I'll say that. Same with salvation. We confess with our mouth, right? And believe in our heart that Jesus Christ is Lord. So we receive him, that he died on the cross for our sins. His blood was shed, right?
Yes.
And his blood was shed for you and I, right? That bloodshed was so our blood wouldn't shed. I mean, and it the same even in the streets now, how much, you know, every day I pick up my phone, it's like 2 to 3 young men that's been murdered. And it's not by police anymore.
It's each other.
It's one another.
And the missing and it's just so much.
I truly believe that we're getting closer to the end times. And by us getting closer to the end times, the enemy is desperate. He's no longer searching out the military. He's no longer searching out, you know, the older, you know, people, if you will. He's going to the root. He's going to the seed,
right,
of the root of
because remember, when you have your baby, you already are creating your legacy because your baby already holds the legacy. So yes, we can get the seed, then we can stop it. And we can stop generations and legacies. This is true. I agree, because there's something going on in the world right now that just doesn't feel like it's heavy.
Yeah.
It's heavy.
Yeah.
How do you stay motivated to keep going in times like these? And then in times that you've gotten through, like how did you stay motivated and how did you know to just keep going and how did you realize at whatever point that you weren't alone, that God was always with you, you know,
Yeah.
he was right there.
Yeah, my testimony was again that 20 years to life. And there were other instances, right?
Mhm.
But I never forget, I sat in a cell and I questioned my faith. I went as far as, I mean, asking God, was he real?
Mm.
Um, you'd be surprised when you get in those desperate places,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know. Um, during my period of incarceration, I had a few cellmates. I had one cellmate. Um, he was a serial murderer. So he murdered like 7 people. Yeah,
And this was your cellmate?
yeah, yeah. He
And
murdered 7 people. I never forget this.
you were
And
a young man at the time and they put you in a cell with a child by. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. We're talking DC jail. This is when I first was incarcerated.
Okay.
DC, come on.
They
It's like,
didn't care.
yeah. So yeah, he was out. He was my cellie for about a month,
Mm.
and I mean, this brother cried almost every night. So there was something in him. He
Traumatic.
had empathy there, right?
Mhm.
Something that was there, but something had hurt him so bad
Mhm.
that he felt as though, if my life isn't worth it, let me take others.
Right. Did you feel empathy for him then?
Not when I found out he killed 7 people. What I was feeling is I wanted to get out of that cell.
Or he killed you?
I
You
want to
probably
be
was
number
like,
8.
I can't sleep
Right.
in here with him.
I
I
did
might
not
be
want to.
number 8.
Can I tell you, Tamika, my prayer life increased that. In those 30 days, my prayer life was
I
off the
love it.
Richter.
God will use the darndest
Yeah,
things to get your attention. Hello?
trying to tell you.
Like, hey,
Well,
choose me. I keep saying choose me, but
yeah,
okay, you want it
right.
the hard
Do
way.
you really want to be? um, the gentleman end up. Well, I just started praying more. I even, but you're right. I did. I had I mean, after a while, you think, and that's what I thought to myself. Like, everyone's talking about this guy killing, and he's showing people the papers, and it's going around. And then not only that, it was in the paper. It was in Washington Post. It was on the news. So, um, 30 days went by, and then he ended up moving out. There was someone else in the unit that he was familiar with, and they kind of group up together or whatever.
Mhm.
But he never talked sideways to me. Never, I mean, none of those. So God's angels were there. But I never forget, I asked God, I said, I mean, going through all of this, Lord, if you plan on leaving me here, let me know. But if you plan, if there's another plan that you have for me, um, do something as simple as send a bird to this window right now. And Tamika, can I tell you the God honest truth? He can take me right now. DC jail windows at that time, you can barely see out of them,
Mhm.
because there was so many
Dirt,
years, and
grime
yeah, and I saw a silhouette
of a
of a
bird.
bird from the light from the sun on the other side. And that bird stood there for a long time. I never forget. And it wasn't my conscious playing tricks on me. I saw an actual, because it was a sparrow, as a matter of fact. And
Mm.
I heard the words clearly. If I take care of a sparrow, what makes you think
I won't
that
take
I
care of
won't take
you.
care of you? Yeah,
That's one of my favorite scriptures.
yeah. I
Wow.
ministered, I ministered the gospel in jail from then on out. So much so, people were calling my mom, my parents, and telling them that people were being saved. Muslims were converted.
Get out.
And yes. I was my first time I ministered to the entire jail on Christmas because the chaplain couldn't make it because it happened just to snow. But I ministered to over 2,000 inmates, the gospel. you
So
know,
your ministry was born in prison.
in prison, you know. God will put us in peculiar places, you
Yep.
know, where
Use us. For his
exactly
glory.
that's it, the bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
He saved our life so that we can save others' lives. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
I know if I would have stayed out, it wouldn't have been pretty. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't have been pretty. But he knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
How to
Uh,
get you.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I love this. Oh, goosebumps.
Yeah.
I love these stories. And I think, why do you think we don't hear enough of these stories? You know?
People are ashamed. You know.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, they'll rather hold on to the significance of especially brothers. I'm just talking from brothers.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brothers are ashamed
Yeah. Now
of their
that I'm
testimony.
right, that's right. That's how we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And I truly believe a lot of it um, is for bars and little, these type of, not bringing glory to God, but glorifying,
Themselves.
yeah, and that journey that they've been through. That journey definitely isn't just for me. It's for
Mm-mm.
some young brother out there
Mm-hmm.
to really think that, getting incarcerated and doing just crazy, using drugs and whatever it is, whatever the vice may be,
Mm-hmm.
if
Mm-hmm.
that's the end of their life and that's all. When it can be so much better and so much more, you know. Finding the love of God, finding the love within yourself. That's a
Yes.
major piece. That's something. And I know we talked earlier a little bit about mental health. One of the things that I meditated on today, and that thing was just so good to me, because that making peace with your past so that you can so that you can be in your present
Mm-hmm.
with the hope for your future.
Mm.
Making peace with your past so that you can be present in the moment to go into your future.
I totally understand that because
Yeah,
I run across too many people who are so stuck on their past life,
yeah,
on everything that happened or didn't
yeah,
happen, and why my parent and why this and why that.
yeah,
And I'm just like,
yeah,
you gotta you gotta find the good because it was a good there too.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we're so busy focusing on the bad, we can't even be present right here, right now, like
yeah.
you said, to get to the future.
That's right.
And I mean, you the word is so easy and it's
Yeah,
just so basic. It
yeah,
says
yeah,
ask and believe and pray.
yeah,
Period.
yeah.
Pray, ask, but then believe.
Leave. That's it.
Y'all praying every day, but you don't believe your prayers to be answered.
Yeah,
And it's weird to me. It's like, why are you wasting God's time at this point? Why are you at
that's
church
it.
every Sunday? Why are you
That's it.
like, why are you doing the business of God but not believing in God?
Believe in
Like,
God.
why aren't you believing His word? His word is very plain and simple.
Yeah.
Ask, believe, but pray, and
That's
and
it.
and let your faith this big. You don't even need big faith.
That's
This
it.
much.
That's it.
And it's like we don't believe Him. We don't
Yeah.
believe that. We're so wrapped up in all the things that didn't happen back then that we
Yep.
can't even have enough faith to see our way out of it.
Yeah. And the enemy, he does that. He plays on that past.
Yes.
He want to keep you looking at the same reruns.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, the Lord told me, he said, not only change the channel, but change the network.
Woo.
Don't just change the channel, change the network,
Mm-hmm.
And when you change the network, you're not going to see the same stuff that you're
Mm-mm.
used to seeing,
Mm-mm.
you
Mm-mm.
know? So Housewives is not on TBN.
Mm-mm.
you know,
It's not.
love it, baby. And I mean, I'm not, throwing shade at it. I mean,
I am because it has really destroyed a generation of girls for real.
yeah,
Like, let's
yeah,
be
yeah,
clear.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I remember, and I will admittedly say, my daughter loves the reality TV,
yeah.
mainly because she's not of it. She does, it's real
Okay.
entertainment for her. However, for me, looking at women my age go
Mm-hmm.
back and forth and bitter and be
Mm-hmm.
stuck, it's just the weirdest thing in
Yeah,
life. Like, I
yeah,
want no parts of it.
yeah.
you know.
And to contaminate your soul by watching it
Yes,
is almost like
you're okay in it. Like,
yeah, you're rehearsing it basically, and before you know it, you're going to be doing the same thing in your relationships
yes.
or with
So,
your friendships. You
oh,
know,
it's perfectly designed.
yeah,
Snapchat,
yeah,
Snapchat, TikTok. That's the thing that you was talking about, how the technology for our children.
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah.
and I'm gonna stop because this is your interview.
No, no, you're good. I love this. I love we just talking. We just
We're having
talking.
a Soulversation.
That's it.
It's really set up to distract us
Yeah,
from the real works of what we're
yeah,
here to do.
right.
All of our lives have purpose. And I'm so like, I'm in this. I will never understand what it's like to have been born into a world with this.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
kids come out the womb and they have this,
that.
right? We
Yep,
don't understand it because
yep.
we didn't have this. We had books, we
Mm-hmm.
had outside
Mm-hmm.
play, we had all of
Yep,
these other things,
yep.
and they don't. This is what they have. And it's up for us to parent
Mm-hmm.
hard. We
Mm-hmm.
have to say, no, no, put that
Yeah,
down. Nope, not
yeah,
that app.
yeah,
Nope, not this.
yeah,
And it's tiring
yeah,
to say the least.
yeah, yeah.
But
Listen, say no. I'm sorry. Go ahead. But
when I think about allowing someone into my home through this to get my daughter's mind and control her, no, it's a no for me all day. All day. And that's the same thing that you may mention of the housewives and the different things. It's like you cannot grow in the space of a reality that it's not beneficial to your growth. It's just not.
yep.
So I'm not saying, ladies, stop looking at it altogether, because you probably can't. You've been doing it for so long, but do it a little bit and a little bit and a little bit and start to change. Like you said, the more you read the Bible, or the more that you look at TBN, or the more that you listen to some inspirational music and study
Yeah,
some rap, the
yeah.
more that you expose yourself to different things, the more you want those things too.
That's right.
You
Yeah,
you build a craving up for something different.
that's it.
And we're not doing that for ourselves. We're letting the world dictate to us who we're supposed to be, what's popular, what's not. And it's hard to get off that popular boat. It is
Yeah,
so hard because
it's
you
true.
feel like you're alone.
Right.
Trying to teach my daughters that it's okay to be alone. It's okay to be a trendsetter. It's okay. Every day I'm struggling with 10-year-olds, 10 and 8-year-olds, and they're
Right.
not even teenagers yet. I'm like, this is not our fight yet. Let's
Yeah.
stop.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
But how is it for you?
Yeah. Well, it's the same. My 12-year-old, I can say, for the most part, we did all the ratchetness for her. So no, Halo's a good girl. We do. She very smart. She's an intelligent person.
Mm,
I laughed a little there, but yeah, I think I did. She don't want to see any ratchetness. So, she's heard stories and, different things like that. She has relatives and, you know, to know right from wrong. And then you get to a place of walking in dignity and they're walking like you. And that goes back to the place in regards to being grandeur,
mhm,
as a grandfather or grandma,
mhm.
so they see that element of the next generation. So she has a responsibility as well.
Yes,
Though she's 12, she's a auntie, meaning,
my kids.
yeah, they're
Uh-huh.
looking up. They're looking up to you
And
like
they take their little roles so serious.
serious. Exactly. Exactly. Which is a beautiful thing.
It
It's
is.
highly respected. And that's the other part is that we honor that.
Mhm.
Um, I can say in the past, parents very rarely say that they were wrong.
Mm.
Think about it.
I'm saying
Our
it all the
parents,
time. They
yeah,
did. They did.
they didn't. They didn't.
Uh-uh.
They
Uh-uh.
will
Because they
send you
weren't.
off.
They weren't.
They weren't. They were always right. Whereas though with me, I will apologize to my child in a minute if I was wrong, or if I said something out the way, or if I did
Mhm,
something they saw.
mhm.
Hey, I was out of line. To
Right.
be a friend, but be accountable enough to let them know that God saw me, right? And
Right.
you did too. And I don't want to offend either one of you.
Right.
And this is exactly what you should do as well.
Right.
Take accountability to whatever it
That's
is.
a whole nother talk show,
Yeah,
accountability.
yeah,
'Cause and it's so. again, all of these lessons that we learn in life, we realize they're so basic.
They
They're
are.
so basic.
They are.
Love yourself.
Yeah.
Love yourself. Respect yourself. All the stuff we was taught.
Exactly.
We just didn't put stock into, but it's like, okay, so I'm not conscious parenting, but I'm doing better in this
Yeah.
in this part of parenting. I guess
Right.
because you have a 12-year-old, so you're kind of in the same boat as me. You
Yeah.
have older
Yeah.
kids and you have younger kids. It is different. I'm talking a lot more than I did with Brichet. Me and Brichet are still dealing with some past issues where, look, I was at 20 being her
Yeah.
mother,
Totally
I
different.
wanted to be,
A friend.
no, I didn't.
Oh,
I
you
didn't.
did?
No, I was, no. If you know me, like I had my daughter in private school because I needed her to learn. I
Right.
had her everywhere I went, she went with me. You know what I'm saying? And that
Yeah.
doesn't mean I
Yeah.
wasn't in the streets. She
Right.
never knew because she was asleep. You understand?
Right.
I
Right.
put on I'm a super mom. I'm super amazing. I never cursed with this kid.
Yeah.
So she was 16 and she was looking at me like, what is wrong with you?
Right. Right.
And I
Right.
was like, no, the real world, they curse. And I don't want you to be so freaking shocked. But I was so busy trying to be the perfect example for her, you know?
Yeah.
I wanted to dispel every single mama myth that there
Yes.
was
Yeah. Yeah.
that we could do better, you know? And
Right.
I wasn't perfect, you know? But I tried to be. So now this time, I'm not even trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to be authentically me. And I want my kids to understand that none of us are perfect. However, my heart is so pure. You know what I'm saying? I am very
Yeah.
authentic. I
Yeah.
love the
That's
Lord and
good.
I love the Lord out loud. I
Right.
love my friends and my family out loud. I love me out loud, you know? And
Yeah.
in certain streets, I'm just never going to go down, you know? And
Right.
in certain roads, I'm just not going to, you know? And I'm not
Right.
perfect. I'm going to mess up and I am going to have to go to you and say, hey, this was wrong.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
the way I should have done it, you know, or what we've started to do, we pray for the kids every day. We'll pray with the kids before they leave for school. But we've
That's
started
good.
to make them read scriptures on the way out the door, you know, so
Yeah.
that they can understand the word in the Bible or the God that we speak about, you
Right.
know, because it's
Exactly.
one thing to get them in church and they just sitting there bored, wanting to go, you know. But now that they're reading Genesis and they're understanding how it all was made and all
Right.
created, it's like I can see the light bulbs turning in their
Yeah.
minds, you know,
Yeah.
because these are
Yeah.
smart girls. They're very, very smart.
Yeah.
They're influential, you know, in their own,
Right.
simply for a lot of different reasons. But they're just kids. So it's
Yeah.
like we're trying to give them such a healthy balance.
Balance. Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know what it's like to be their daddy's kid, you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So I would never know that thing for them. And I
Yeah.
can see it with the older kids that I just don't understand some of that.
Yeah.
So, but what I do understand is that life is life at any level,
At
right?
any level. That's right.
Authenticity is authenticity.
That's it.
Working hard and respecting yourselves at every level in life, you know, is
That's good.
important.
Yep.
Who you are out loud and who you are behind closed doors should match.
That's it.
You know, you should be
That's
the
it.
same person in
Person.
front of
Yeah.
people, in front of me that you are when I'm not
Behind
around,
the
you
closed
know?
doors. That's right. Yep. Yeah.
So life
That's
is,
called integrity. That's called integrity
yes,
too. Yeah.
yes. And so we're big on that. We're big on, you know, um, this our house. You got to go work and get yours, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're big on them trying to become their own versions of themselves and
Yeah.
not the pressure of what they have already, you know?
Yeah.
Again, that's a whole thing that I'll never be able to understand. Like I will never be able to understand how it feels to always have. So I have to say no. And they
Mm-hmm.
just be looking at me like, well, why are we saying no? Because we can.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
gonna respect the no. How
Respect
about
that
that?
now. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing in society. And we raise our kids to go into society, right? Prepare them to go in society. And
Not for
I was,
ourselves.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I was listening to this podcast and this gentleman, he was talking about that. He mentioned how because he was so dark, his skin was so dark,
Mhm.
right? but he was, would go out to the side. But in the house, his mom and his sisters would remind him and tell him every day how beautiful he was.
It's important.
That was the home conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when he went out,
they was telling him something else.
Total different.
Mm-hmm.
Had he not had those conversations at home, he would have been totally destroyed.
He would have believed what the outside world told him.
What the world told him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so necessary that we speak into our children, that we
listening.
pray with our children, cover our children, lay hands on it, pray over it,
Yes.
Even their friends. You want to be a friend of my daughter? that those relationships, and you'd be surprised on that from that dynamic in regards to the relationship with my children. I mean, my children has a relationship with God, and we do, and spreading it to the parents as well, because we are we're the kingdom, we're the boundaries, we're the gates, we're the
representation.
That's it, the ambassadors.
We're made in his image. Hello.
And his likeness, So
thank God for that.
Yeah, no doubt.
What advice, and I know that you said you don't like to give advice, would you give to someone who's struggling, or who's, who you see that, oh, Dad, look at me all over again? Yeah. What do you say to those people when you meet them?
That was funny because I thought about that. Because it is true. Sometimes we want to talk about, just let go and let God, and different things. And I'm a firm believer in this, is that every relationship, every person, every situation, nothing is ever the same. So if I was to, I can never give advice, but I can speak from, I'm a living epistle. Yeah, I can speak from what God has brought me from, and where I, struggled and still struggle from time to time. I'm no different from that. That's the other part. Even, I tell the kids, even as a mentor, even as a youth pastor at a time, the first thing I tell those kids, I say, I'm no different from you. Yes. We all have something that we struggle through, or, can't let go of, or those different things, and like I shared earlier, those trust issues, because of childhood, some of those things you do, we thank God for repentance and forgiveness, but don't, the devil still will throw it at you to see if you'll grab it. That's a struggle. It's a tug of war. Do I let this go, or do I hold on to it?
Oh, you know what they call it now? It's called imposter syndrome. They have a word for it. Don't you just love this generation of putting a label on everything? I'm just like, oh, that's what that is? Yeah, we all struggle with that then. Being in places that you don't feel worthy of.
That's right. So true. So true. Yeah.
Interesting. So when you see your younger self in someone, are you quick to tell your story? Do you try to see where they're at? How do you use your testimony in those?
And that's something, sometimes that's a struggle too, because
and I'm really speaking and asking you this question
from
because
a man's
women, women, we do it all the time. Like, I am not what I look like. I've been through some things that, what you see now is not what it's always looked like. Right. How do guys communicate on that level?
And it's funny that you mentioned that. My son-in-law was talking about this yesterday on a podcast. And he mentioned, shout out to Chuck. He mentioned in regards to trust levels, it's very hard for men to trust, to be able to communicate anything that what? The only way that we communicate, because men are visual creatures, we got to have a big truck, or a fancy car, or some gold, some jewelry, some drip. The young folks got drip now. You don't have any drip, so that's the communication. We talking about your drip, talking about your truck, we're talking about, and the first thing most older men do, they even try to change the narrative is, what do you do for a living? What do you do? Now, who are you? We don't go there. See, women are, you guys are eternal beings, creatures, even down to your reproductive system. But men are external. We go out. What visually can you show me, who you are? Visual creatures, look on the external
So what
versus the
happens?
internal.
Okay, you run across a 28, 29-year-old young fella, and you say, what do you do? And his answer is nothing.
Me personally, normally, there's a commonality, and this is one thing, again, I say I struggle
The shoes.
with.
It's the shoes.
There you go.
Okay.
The drip. It's
Okay.
the drip. The drip can be a catch line. Sometimes it's just your spirit. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been times that I wouldn't have to say anything. They say something to me. The Bible said many are the sons of God who are led by his spirit, right? Meaning there are paths and journeys that we'll walk down that God does, hey, talk to this young man, or mention this, and you have to pray for this journey, as you praying for others, God, as they cross paths, God will, with me personally, he's actually, share with me, hey, you're going to run across someone, or this will happen, or, sometimes it'll be in the spirit of the moment. What kind word to say. And that's what I always say. We should lead by love.
Yes.
Especially in this generation.
Yes.
Because they get offended by anything. And the respect level in regards to elders is like second to,
it's none. None.
It's none. So if you're not, and they'll peep it out, trust me. These young folks, these 28-year-olds or whomever, they'll peep it out. They know when someone's genuine, sincerely care about their soul.
Right.
They'll know. And here's the other part of this, Tamika, and this is for anyone, no male, female. Certain hurts that we've hurt so much, people can identify when you hurt.
Right.
They can look you in your eye and say, I've been down.
Pull it out. And pull it out.
Yeah, and pull it out. And when you hurt that bad, you'll know what to say. You'll know what to say. They'll look you in your eye and know that you know what to say. And again, leading by love. Act as though that is you, and because ultimately it is you, going through that,
That is true.
Yeah,
wow.
that comes back to that authenticity you were talking about earlier. Yeah.
Have there been challenges in your life, challenges that you've had to overcome as a Black man, whether it be, you in a minority in your workplace or just in your personal life, period, as a Black man? Like, what are some of your challenges that you've had to overcome?
Oh man, there's been so many in this 50 years that I've been living. You've heard some of
that is such a big question.
That's a broad one. Yeah, that's a broad one. But to narrow it down in regards to, I think I gave you what was it, from
the
childhood? Yeah, childhood to church, from church to the workforce. It's challenges every day, every day. But the challenge is you. Can I challenge me to be the best me that I can be?
No matter what.
No matter what.
Challenges.
In this situation, whether it's at church, whether it's at work, in the marriage, challenging yourself to come off better. Do we
every
always?
Day.
Yeah, every day. And that we have to. We have to. I gave a little a talk about, even in regards to church, how a gentleman, he was like, I don't go to church anymore because church has hurt me. And I asked him, I said, well, let me ask you, you got a job, right? He said, yeah, I got a job. I said, what time do you got to be to work tomorrow? 9 o'clock. I said, 9 o'clock, you probably get hurt. But it's real. You show up every day at 9 o'clock. with the vulnerability of possibly being hurt, you know. But you show up. And that is the same with life, you know. They say
It's
church is
perspective. It's
that's it.
perspective.
It's perspective. Yeah, how
Mhm.
you look at it.
You just celebrated a big milestone. All of us 73 babies are about to celebrate our milestone,
Yeah, good deal.
which can be very reflective. How is this season in your life, Nisheen?
I'm gonna
50.
say 50. I know. Time is winding down. Time has become so precious.
Right?
You know, it's like how can I say this? Every breath matters to me now.
Mm.
Every breath that I'm breathing matters. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's to that point. Every second has to count. You know what I mean? Because
I love that.
at the end, I just want to hear my Heavenly Father say, God, my Lord say, a job well done. You know,
Mm.
that's what I'm looking for, you know, to be able to breathe that breath back to him, you know, give it back to him, and him receiving it, taking a deep breath and saying, job well done.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So what have you learned about yourself in this
Open the
phase of your journey?
I think I'm more vulnerable now.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm more vulnerable. I'm able to open up. I'm able to see things as they are, you know. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, there's a level of empathy that has
Mm-hmm.
increased in me, you know, because when you see so much, life humbles you, you
Yes,
know.
it does.
Yeah, it humbles you, and you've gone through so much. Um, and I'm learning not to sweat the small stuff. Like
Mm.
there's certain things that just, you know, you have to, you know, allow things just to be where they are, you know. I don't have to be involved and get into every, you know, thing, you know. Every argument doesn't, I mean, every discussion doesn't should create an argument. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like certain things you just let it be. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and as this process go on and on, you know, I just have that one goal is just, you know, for
Peace.
God to be, yeah, yeah, peace. Exactly. Exactly. You know, certain things you just got to let the chips fall where they may. You know, as long as you have life, you
Mm.
know, you can keep on living. You can keep
Amen.
on living. Yeah.
So, Black man, what do you do on a regular basis to show yourself self-love and self-care?
I do prayer and meditation, prayer meditation. I like to read too, you
Okay.
know. But what I find is very therapeutic is I write.
Okay. Do you
Mhm.
journal?
Expressive, yeah. And yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I do. I love poetry. For some reason, poetry always flow out of me.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
I guess a poetry book is coming soon too, huh?
Yeah, that's what I love it though.
To be a songwriter.
Yeah, hey, say that.
Yeah.
Say that. But yeah, I have been writing a lot of poetry, and it kind of soothes me. And the other thing I find myself that I enjoy more, it's just traveling outdoors, a road trip,
Mm-hmm.
something as small as a road trip,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
In the car, watching the mountains go by.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
beautiful.
so peaceful.
It is.
Watching nature, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It is so peaceful. Um, yeah, and
You know what
but
I hate?
what's that?
I hate that we wasn't raised in nature to appreciate it. You
Oh
know, I
yeah,
feel
yeah,
like at this age, God, I missed out on so much of just, and I guess I feel like if I was a country girl, I would respect it. I would have had way more respect for it.
right,
Because I don't do bare feet, and now we realize that's grounding and that's
right,
connecting with God's soil, and
right,
it's therapeutic for you, and it's the minerals in your body, and it's so good, and just touching the leaves of the tree or hugging a tree and all these things, and it's like, wow, I'm so anti all of these things, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to find an appreciation for it.
Appreciation for it. Yeah.
My kids, and when I look at my kids and they go outside barefoot, and I'm like, I was never that kid. I don't want it touching my feet, the
Yeah.
bugs, So it's I've always loved water. I've always
Mm.
loved the scenery that God has given us, the
Right.
fall, the winter, the snow, all of the different changes of
Yeah.
weather.
Yeah.
But to really immerse yourself
Versus
in it,
nature. Yeah.
ah, that yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get there slowly.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Wow. To be still.
Mm,
Be still. I think I moved around too much. Yeah, grandma used to tell you, sit still, just sit still.
you was gonna miss something.
I'm gonna miss something. I never forget, and I shared this as a testimony before. I was a young kid, maybe 21, 22. And just wanted to, again, on the train, back and forth, going to work. And there was this older lady. Speaking of grandma, she was like a grandma type, she had these dark shades on and this black hat, almost like a church hat. But this was a weekday. Everyone else was going to church. Why is this lady she got on all black and she just sitting there?
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to get by. She was towards the back of the train where the door is. She
Mm-hmm.
was, back there, those little 4 seats and so, but she was on that slanted seat, like facing. So I was trying to slide by and get in that one of those little 4 seats. And she said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm sorry, excuse me. My day is going good. I'll be glad when it's over."
Mm-hmm.
That lady did not take her shades off, nor did she look at me. She said, plain as day, never, ever wish your day away.
Ooh, look at
Sit,
God
sit still.
and enjoy the moment.
That's it.
Yes.
Sit still.
So you know what? You just said you would tell your 18-year-old self
18-year-old
that,
self to sit
and
still.
she told you that at 21. So you got the lesson now, Wow, that's deep.
Yeah.
I had a altercation on a train before. That's my testimony. I'll share it with you one day, but it's just amazing how God shows up. He showed up for you that day and that woman, and for you to picture my angel was
Mm-hmm.
in all black and was
Uh-huh.
the blackest man I had ever seen in my life with
Mm-hmm.
dreads, and he was just a gift, but he looked
Mm-hmm.
homeless.
Wow.
I looked like I had $1 million and I had
Yeah.
zero, like
Right.
literally
Right.
zero.
But he was
And
wealthy.
I don't know what he was, but he gifted me $20, Nasheen.
Yeah.
And on that day, I had nothing. I had nothing to get back and forth to work. I was on a train. My
Yeah.
daughter was there singing like she
Yeah.
always did.
Yeah.
We was dressed to kill because we gonna be Black people. No
Yeah.
matter what's going on in
Yeah.
our life, we
Right.
gonna look the part. I was doing work. I was in college at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and going home, and I had 2 more days before I get paid on my job.
Wow.
And I just was like, well, Lord, okay,
Make a
wasn't
way.
worried. No, I wasn't worried at all. I was doing homework. She was singing. We was just doing our day. I could have called home. I was living in Atlanta at the time. I could have called home for money. I don't want to. I don't
Right.
know what I was thinking. I was just,
Right. Yeah.
and this guy came on a train from one stop to the next stop. Nobody does that. You can walk from one stop to the next stop. He
Right.
came to give me money that day.
Wow.
$20. And at
Goodness.
that time, 20 felt like 100
Oh yeah.
because I had zero. I got off the train. I went to like the Metro Center at the time
Right.
there,
Right.
got me a weekly train pass for
Yes.
$12.
Right.
$12. So now I can get back and forth for the next 2 days. Went to the corner store by my house, got pork and beans and hot dogs and cereal and milk. We're going to eat for 2 days and we're going to go back and forth.
Wow.
God.
Yep.
Now, I told you I thought the man looked homeless. He did. Something in my spirit when Brescia was like, "Oh, mommy, the man gave me money." I said, "Say thank you." And I just happened to look up because I'm doing homework. I happened to look up to
Yeah.
thank him. And
Yeah.
I see his every black on black on black, dusty, black
Yeah.
on black on black,
Yeah.
looked like a trench coat, dread. He looked like Black Jesus.
Wow.
And when he walked off the train, that's when I looked up and I saw him. And then the train was going by and I looked and he just disappeared.
It's gone.
Yeah, clearly, clearly.
Wow.
And it was just mind blowing that he's
Yeah.
always going to show up for his
Show
people.
up.
He just
That's it.
always is, you know?
That's it.
And
Yep.
I didn't worry that day. I was just like, I'm gonna go home and then whatever it's gonna be, it's gonna be. And
Yeah.
literally, I went home and I had peace that surpasses all
All
understanding. I just knew
understanding.
that
Yeah.
God had
Yeah.
me, you know, and He's always
Yeah.
gonna have me.
Yeah.
So, whew, that lady
That's
told you to
good.
sit yourself still and don't wish your days away.
Be still.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love how God uses His people to
Mhm.
tell us. And um, I was interested in having you because Black men and their mental health.
Yeah.
Um, you know, we look at this generation and we call it the end of times. I tend not to do that, and
Mhm.
not because I don't think something weird is going on in the atmosphere. I just feel
Right.
like my grandmother said the same thing, and I feel like her grandmother probably said the same thing, and I feel like her grandmother probably said the same thing. Because
Mhm.
guess what? We don't know when the end of times is.
Never know.
Okay.
Yeah. That's right.
I feel like if anything devastating happened to us and it was the end of our time, that's the
Yeah.
end of times.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, when people get bombed in their homes and it's everybody around them and that's it for them. I feel like that was their end of times.
Right.
Um, what would you say to this generation about taking care of their mental health, about
Mhm.
seeking out mentors or,
Yeah,
you know?
especially as Black men, again, it's very rare that we want to talk about anything.
Mm-hmm.
We choose to react before we actually
Mm,
respond. Um, Kudos to my kids. I call them my kids. My daughter and son in love. How they're raising my grandson
mm,
is that there's no crying, rolling on the floor. It's use your words.
mm.
In this generation, I would say use
Your
your
words.
words.
I
Words
like
are
that.
so powerful. It expresses so much. And
Mm-hmm.
I think well, I don't think, I truly believe um, a lot of the children, because they're uneducated, they've yet to experience any compassion or empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been generations after generation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Black boys are taught not to cry.
Mm-hmm.
You're not to show your feelings at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you show your feelings, you're weak. You're a sucker. You're a punk. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and all the while, those feelings that they're suppressing, um, is
Has
what's
to come out at some point.
at some point, and
Mm-hmm.
that's when those mental conditions
Mm-hmm.
starts to manifest.
Mm.
Whether it's ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
meaning they talk about, like, having too much, energy and
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention. Well,
Mm-hmm.
there is tension, but not attention.
Ooh.
Yeah. So those things, if bipolar, when you always think of bi, you're thinking two, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they're constantly thinking bi, thinking two, because they're not they not only want an entrance in someone's life, but they also want an exit. You can't enter and exit at the same time,
Mm.
and that's what I mean. Grown men are suffering with this, relationships are suffering with this, you know and the same with schizophrenia, trying to turn a reality, right,
Mm-hmm.
uh, into something, that's a fairy tale, or
Mm.
vice versa. And again, we often, as black men, self-sabotage because of these sicknesses and diseases, these curses. Again, generational curses. Having the mandate to break these curses, you know, and yes, some require medication.
Yes.
But there are others that just require someone to sit down to listen. Some of the stuff, you'd be surprised, even as grown men, we can just talk ourselves through.
Right.
You know, but there are times when,
but if it's inside bottled up,
you can't, you know,
you can't
and
move.
just, and here's the thing, the umbrella to it all is fear. It's being scared.
I'm gonna be exposed. They're gonna know what I'm thinking. Yes.
You know, fear has inflicted our generation, our, you know, culture of people for the longest. You know, from massa, you know, fear of being taken away from your family. A lot of black men don't take care of their family because they fear massa going to come and take you away anyway. So I might as well not get attached to these kids or this wife. You know, I fear that massa may take my wife, you know?
Still, because it's the generational.
Those things. And to have something taken from you, you know, that's the other thing. You don't have a sense of belonging. And your sense of belonging you're allowed to start making you question your identity. Where do I belong? Mental health is so, I mean, it's, you know, from a clinical standpoint, there's so much more in depth there, you know, that there is. But just from a surface level, I thank God for his grace. I'm gonna say that. I thank God for his grace. You know, dealt with it, still deal with it, to be honest with you. I think we all do, and to some degree.
I do too.
If you've been part of this pandemic, you have dealt with it.
My
But, I mean, you have succumbed to it, but you know, a lot haven't dealt with it.
That's true.
Yeah.
How did you guys make it through the pandemic? You know?
I almost died.
Are you
It was
serious?
that bad. It was like so much, you know, to succumb to, you know. So many thoughts, and you know, just, is this the end?
It's that be still thing again.
Yeah.
Sitting
Thank you.
still.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we've never had that in our lifetime. We've never had to sit.
That's right.
Inside
to have
of
to
4 walls.
question whether or not you're going to be around the next day.
Yeah.
Or question, you know, is this person safe? You know, you had everyone, you know.
Oh my God.
You know.
Oh my God. It made us so crazy. Some of us were disrespectful of it. Some of us, and I probably was one. Let's be clear.
I was too. I'm a social person. I had a
hug. I'm just like, look, do we hug? Do we, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And I don't want to live in this world where we're not hugging and touching. And, you know, so we made a healthy little cocoon. And I got COVID 3 times. But I didn't, to me, it became more mental for a lot of us. Exactly. And I was just not going to be that person. When I got it, I moved like I didn't have it. I just got it. And I feel like the people who didn't are the ones who actually died and just gave up because they got so scared. It's the fear thing again. So,
well, that same thing is being expressed even now. And again, and you know, these kids are killing one another because of fear. You know, let me get you before you get me, you know, rather. And the thing is just moving away. Let me tell you, here's a big part. Your habitat creates habits, right?
Yes.
Where you dwell, where you live, your environment, you know.
You don't feel safe. Yeah.
Why stay there? You know, one of my dreams is to, and so my vision board is to just open up a huge, a boys ranch, if you will. Remove all of the phone technology. I mean, everything. Just go back to basics, like chickens, cows. You know what I mean?
I love that.
Having conversations.
Soulversations.
Yeah. So exactly. There you go. Exactly. you know, because a lot of them just, I mean, it's one wrong word and you just go get your gun and kill. We, you know, we used to fight. We used to get
Right.
out there and, you know, one-on-one, you know, not to say that that was good either, because we didn't use our words. Well, we did, but the wrong word.
The wrong words could lead to a fight.
That's it. That's it. But yeah, that was a huge piece for that, you know. But that's one of my dreams is to, and God will manifest that thing because my
It
heart
will.
is
He
in the
will.
right
That's
place. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm doing something.
that's going to help his people. So I don't see why
That's
it's
it.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to, that's a good segue into my next question. What is your legacy, Nisheen?
Yeah, that's the huge one.
Part of it? Okay.
Yeah, that's a
The
huge
Boys
part of
Ranch?
it. That's it, the Boys Ranch, and also for um all of my children to have a piece of legacy that they could become entrepreneurs and provide for themselves, to be
Mm,
self-sufficient. That's my legacy. Yeah, to
yes.
be self-sufficient. And not just for self, but a distribution center for others, you know, because that's one thing that we teach is like, you're not rich for you, you know.
Mm,
Yeah,
that's
it's just
true.
not for you. Yeah. To move off that selfishness more so
Mm-hmm.
into helping others. And it doesn't always have to be money. It can be time.
Mm-hmm.
It can be, you know, a ride. You know, there's so
Mm-hmm.
many things that you can help someone. It can be $20.
Yes. Now it has to be about 100 because 20 gets you nothing.
Everything's gone up.
Yes. Do you
Yeah.
guys have any summer plans? Summer
Um,
travel plans?
well, yeah, well, we were looking at some islands
Mm.
for Maxanne's birthday.
Okay,
For Max's birthday.
Maxine. Is
Yeah.
Maxine turning the big 50?
She don't want to admit it. She keeps saying she's turning 50, not 50.
Okay. I said I'm going to say I'm going to turn this 50, and then after that I'll go back.
You
I'll
go
go
back.
back to whatever age you know you want
Right.
to be.
It's
Whatever you see.
right. Look, it's 50, not 50.
I
It's
love it. I love it. Oh, lastly, what can our listeners expect from you in the future, Nisheen? What upcoming projects do you have? You said book number 2 is on the
Book
way.
number 2. Yep.
Is that already titled? You have a
Yeah, yeah, in
okay
certain ways. Yeah.
working title? Okay.
Yeah. Um, my hope is to do a podcast. I think that would be fun to
Just,
interview people.
just
Yeah.
do it. Just do it.
Right. Right.
Just wake up and just do it. Do
Yeah.
not wait for the perfect time. There is no perfect time.
Yeah.
I wanted to get things so different. Like
Yeah.
if I waited, I'd still be waiting right now. I just
Yeah.
said, you know what? I already know how
Just
this
do it.
works. Yep, just do it.
Just do it. Yeah. Yeah. One day I'll have assistants like you have, all the, you know, all
I
of these.
don't. I do
Uh,
not. I do not. I do not. My girlfriend's son is my producer, and
so
he,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you know some teenagers in your life. Come on, it's the kids. They know all this
yeah.
stuff.
Well, you're fortunate enough. You're blessed. You're blessed to do that. Yeah. Yeah. I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of you. Look,
Yeah, you're
I'm
doing a
proud
great
of
job
us.
with
You
this.
know, God
Yes.
has been good to us despite us, right?
Amen. Amen.
Um, yeah. I
Shan-
thank you. I thank you. I thank you. I thank
Yeah.
you.
Can you plug that phenomenal, what is it? Phenomenal woman, right?
Yes. I will not plug that today. This is your day. This is your day.
All right. Well, since today is my day, if you haven't seen it, I guess the backdrop is, but my book, Message in Your Mess.
And how do
Um,
we buy that?
you can get it on Amazon. Just search for my name, NMS. Those are my initials. I did this all myself. Speaking of interns, yeah, came up with the
Okay.
artwork and everything. Through the divine power of the Holy Spirit, of course. Prayer and
Okay.
meditation. But yeah, NMS is my initials. NMS, Nisheen Martel Steve.
NMS.
NMS. Yep.
NMS.
NMS.
Okay.
You got it? You got it?
Yeah.
A little marketing ploy. But yeah, the spiritual letters of lessons to young men, kind of like what some of the things we shared today, and that I share with some of my my mentees. That's the other thing. I'm hoping to get out and do more speaking engagements in regards to the book, but moreover, just to help young men,
I
pull
see it.
them,
I
pull
see it.
them out of the that train of thinking, and pulling them away from death, yeah, pulling them out the hands of death. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing your whole story.
Oh, man, this is a pleasure.
I can't, you know what? I'm not even going to go into a whole big deal about this ending and closing, simply because we're going to have Nisheen Stephens next week with his lovely wife, Maxanne, and we're going to talk about healthy marriages. Okay. And we're going to talk about, look, they've been together for forever. And I'm sure that they have a story to tell about that, because no marriages last this long in this lifetime, but
Yeah.
they somehow figured it out. And so we need a good word from them next week.
Amen. All right.
So I want to just thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for pouring into the young men in your life, and with your mentorship and with your book. And thank you for your yes.
Oh,
I
no
really
doubt. No
appreciate you.
doubt. No doubt. Yeah, we home skillets to the end. Yeah,
Thank you.
give my best to brother Stevie.
I will. I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, I really enjoyed our conversation. I'm serious. I'm gonna come back out there so we can spend some time. I need to hear some more. He was dropping gems, some
That's
heavy
what he
jewels.
does. That's what he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I like to be around that atmosphere. Yep. So
Yeah, you guys, whenever you're in town, let us know.
okay.
We'll take you to a nice dinner and have we'll break bread.
I look forward to that. Okay.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Soulversations, Conversations from the Soul with Mka Morris.